Okay, welcome everyone. So this video is just going to be all about what self-improvement is exactly, and basically just my overview and my understanding of what we're actually doing here when we're embarking on a journey of self-improvement. So I decided on this video because tomorrow I start my new monk mode. So tomorrow I'm essentially going into a lifestyle of 100% self-improvement. There's not going to be a single part of my day that's unproductive except when I'm at school and work. So, um, I just thought this would be a good video to kind of give everyone here an understanding of what self-improvement actually is and what we're doing here when we're trying to do self-improvement. So, just quickly, the explanation: what exactly is self-improvement? So, self-improvement is, as it sounds, just improving the self, right? But obviously, it's a lot deeper than just improving the self. Essentially, what self-improvement is it is a lifestyle. It is the lifestyle that represents or keeps us in a state of kaizen, or continuous improvement. That's what that word means, right? Kaizen just means continuous improvement, constant improvements, constantly getting better, right? And so self-improvement is simply the lifestyle that reflects this ideology, right? It's just living within living within the frame of mind and having the discipline to constantly look for small ways or big ways to improve yourself, and then tackle and attack those things that would help you improve, and then continuously do that, continuously find ways to get better, continuously find things that you might have that's a flaw, and then improving that part of yourself and constantly going with that. So self-improvement is just going to be the lifestyle that supports you making continuous improvement. It's going to be the lifestyle that supports Kaizen. I said it is improving the self though, right? So what exactly is the self? Because I'm not just talking about the human self. I'm not just talking about your physical body and your memories of who you are. I'm talking about the inner self, the being. So why exactly would the self need improving, right? Because the self, the I am, the being, right? The inner presence, it's an infinite being, right? It's an infinitely divine being with infinite wisdom. So why exactly would it need improvement? So, in my opinion, that is exactly why we're here. We are only here to experience life as a fragment of that divine being, as a piece of that divine being, in order to experience certain aspects of life and certain aspects of ourselves, in order to grow, in order to learn and evolve and then further advance. So why would we improve that self? It's simple, because that's why we're here. That's the whole reason that we're on the planet Earth in the first place, is to improve, is to grow, is to learn, right? So now I'm just going to go into what exactly we can self-improve. So this is just a list of all of the things that I'm working on right now, and basically just all of the aspects of self-improvement that I think you should be looking at and considering and working on. Obviously, there could be more. I don't think I have everything, but I have everything that I could come up with and that I'm currently working on. And then obviously, if there were more, I'd make new videos. So the first thing is going to be the body. So we're going to start with the body. Everybody usually starts with the body, right? That's the first thing we tend to notice when we want to get on self-improvement, is the body. We notice that we might get a little fat, or we might be skinnier, or we might get more acne, or there might be some physical symptom, some physical sign that something's not right. And this is usually going to be the first trigger for people to start self-improvement and to start working on themselves. But a lot of times this is simply out of the desire to look better and attract more women. And I think this is a very shallow way of going about it, a very shallow way of viewing your body as simply a tool to attract. Obviously, our bodies and our brains are transmitters and receivers and are designed to attract certain things. but to only want to improve our body based off the premise that we will look good in order to attract other women. So I view this as a very shallow way of actually self-improving, just because it loses the essence of it, right? Because we're here to improve ourselves. We're here to better ourselves, right? We're here to become our highest expression. And so it doesn't really make sense for us to do this out of a need to get the attention of others. So in my opinion, the way that we should go about training our body and building our body and self-improving our body would simply be to focus more on developing strength, flexibility, mobility, and functionality of the body, as well as overall health and fitness and longevity, right? So we want to actually make our body strong. We want to make our body easy to use, easy to be in, right? Like if we wanted to play a sport in the future when we're older, we want our bodies to be capable. We want our bodies to be healthy and able to handle stress and movement, right? We want our bodies to be able to move well as well. We want them to be able to move fast and well and without hurting ourselves, right? We don't want to have to injure ourselves just because we decided we want to go on a run at 45, right? We want to be healthy and flexible, and we want this to last a long time. We want this to last our entire life. So when I talk about improving the body, I think that the best way to do this, the best way to go about this, is to actually focus on improving your strength gains, right? Muscle will build itself. Muscle will grow on its own if you're going to the gym and you're working out and you're exercising and you have the right amount of testosterone, right? And you're eating a proper diet. The muscle and the look will happen naturally as long as you make sure you're doing the training and you're eating right and you are making sure to give your body the rest it needs to build the muscle. So improving the body is actually just more about improving the functionality, the health, and the longevity of our bodies. Not about looking right, not about looking good. So the next thing is going to be the mind, right? The next thing we want to really learn and develop and master is going to be our minds. So a lot of us are going to have really shit mental health when we start this journey, just because of the not only the food that we eat, that's going to be a big factor, but as well as the lifestyles that we've been living for so long. Most are just depressed, right? So your mental health is just not going to be all there when you first start. It's for most people, it's going to be a given. Like, this isn't something to be ashamed of or worried about or stressed about, right? Like, it is more likely than not that you are going to have really bad mental health going into this. And so that's one of the first things you should be focusing on in self-improvement, is improving the mind, improving your mental health, and then eventually improving the functionality of your mind. So the first thing is you want to improve mental health. You want to be mentally happy. You want to be positive. You want to love yourself, right? But then beyond that, I also want my mind to be able to read books and retain all of that information, right? Be able to learn as much as possible from reading and learning, and then be able to teach that as well as I possibly can. So I want my brain to be functional as well. I want my mind to work well. I want to be able to, in my mind, create ideas that I want to then turn into YouTube videos. I need to be able to use my mind in order to visualize what I want to do in my life and where I want to go before I can actually get there and before I can see it out here. So you really want to emphasize improving the mind, the state of your mind, because once you get a better mental health and a better grasp on your mind and your thoughts and how it works and how it operates, it becomes your greatest tool in life. It becomes the greatest weapon that you could ever possibly have, because it is the way that you see something that isn't yet real. It is how you see something, see a version of yourself that hasn't yet come into fruition. And so your ability to cultivate how well you can actually see within your mind, and how well you can create something, and how well you can turn that creation into a reality. So you might be good at dreaming things up, but your mind is also supposed to be able to take that dream and put it into action, put it into motion, and that's the only way that you actually see it happen. So yeah, the mind is going to be extremely important, right? You definitely want to emphasize healing the damages of your mind, the damage within your mind and your mental health. So the next thing is going to be our connection to our higher self. So you can look at this as God, you can look at this as the universe. I don't view these things as separate. I view them as one being, right? So it is not there is not a God outside of myself. When I speak to God and when I receive information from God, I'm simply just talking to a higher aspect of myself. I'm talking to the version of myself, the consciousness that is overseeing this existence. So I don't view myself as separate from this being, but some people might, and that's okay. But essentially, all we want to be focused on here is actually improving our connection to the divine, improving our connection to the spiritual side of our existence, because humans do have a spiritual side to our consciousness. We are able to perceive spiritual entities, spiritual beings, spiritual energies. So we want to essentially improve our connection with that higher self. And you can do this by essentially just cultivating inner awareness. So you want to, for most people, this is going to start by working through a lot of trauma. There's going to be a lot within your body that is blocking you from actually going within, and that's where you're going to have to start. So for me, there was a lot of energy stuck in my stomach, in my upper stomach and my lower stomach. And I can't really explain it as anything more than that, but it was a form of trauma. And at this point, it wasn't anything more than just trapped energy. So there wasn't like a specific trauma or feeling associated with it. It was just dense energy. So for most people, this is going to be the point you're at, right? You're not actually experiencing pain from a certain event that happened in your life, but that trauma is manifesting as a tightness in your back, or it's manifesting as just energy somewhere in your body that's causing some form of tension, right? So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go within, and then start to work through and dissolve these pieces of ourselves, and then that will give us the ability to become aware of and conscious of this divine being or this God or your higher self when it is speaking to you, when it is giving you information. So when you are able to clear up the inner environment and sit in that, that's when you will actually receive messages from God or your higher self. And in this state, we can cultivate a deeper sense of awareness and consciousness and connection with this higher self. So the next thing is going to be, kind of ties into this, but controlling your inner state. So doing the same thing I just told you about connecting to your higher self, by working through the traumas in the body, we actually give ourselves the ability to start learning how to control our inner state, right? If we practice breath work consistently and we practice this, going inwards and releasing tension, what we can do is we can start to develop control over our central nervous system, over our autonomic nervous system, over our emotions, over our energy, over our magnetic field, over our thoughts and the way we think and the things that we're projecting into it. So we essentially be able to learn to control everything about ourselves by going within and by controlling the inner state and the inner world. And the outer world is simply a reflection of your inner world. So when you cultivate a control over this inner state, and then you actually use that control to make your inner state to match something that you would like to experience, then you will start to have those experiences more and more. And the more control you have over your internal state, the more control you have over your reality. So the next one is just going to be control over your sexual energy and your desires. So when we start self-improvement, a lot of us are trying to start businesses, a lot of us are getting into fitness, and a lot of us are getting very spiritual. We're trying to get into more of our spiritual aspects of ourselves. In my opinion, all of this is going to be hindered, if not impossible, if you don't have control over your sexual urges or your sexual energy, right? Specifically the energy behind your sexuality. This is something that we need in order to cultivate true self-improvement, in order to truly transform ourselves. We need to be able to cultivate a control over our sexual energy, because the sexual energy is essentially the energy that creates life. It is the energy that creates, right? So we need this energy if we are to create a different life for ourselves, a different reality for ourselves. So we need to learn how to control it. First, we need to stop releasing it. Then we need to learn how to control the urge and the desire to release it. And then from there, we can transmute the energy that we've now learned to store and keep within our body. Now we can transmute that energy and use it as fuel in order to grow, in order to self-improve. So the next thing is just going to be sleep. This one's self-explanatory. Everybody needs sleep. Sleep is the most important thing that we can do. I was watching a video yesterday, actually, and it basically explained that professional athletes consider sleep to be the best legal performance-enhancing drug, because it is. When you get good sleep, you perform better at everything that you do. You learn faster, you learn more, right? You grow faster if you're talking muscle, right? So your body will grow and recover faster, right? Your brain works better, right? You're just more on top of it, and you just feel better, right? Everything is better. You're able to heal fully at night, right? You're able to really like get that mental clarity instead of waking up with brain fog every morning, right? So it's just like when you get good sleep, when you have your sleep on point, everything is going to be better. Everything is going to improve. So I'm still personally working on my sleep, but a few tips and tactics that I can give you is blue light blockers before bed. So I put my blue light blockers on at like 8:30 at night, and I'll keep them on until I go to sleep. Because when you are receiving red light in particular at night, it's going to stop melatonin production, because red light is blue light, my bad. So blue light is the light that we take in the morning, right? And that's the light that typically wakes us up. It initiates the process of our circadian rhythm, and it initiates the process of our bodies waking up and getting energized again. And then the opposite happens when we see red light. Red light triggers melatonin production and tells the body to settle down and go to sleep. So I would say blue light blockers before bed. I would say stop watching social media close to bedtime. I'm still working on this one because I like to watch YouTube at night. So I would say cut it off at least an hour and a half. Same time as the blue light blockers pretty much, but an hour and a half to 2 hours, because this gives your brain time to settle, right? This gives your brain time to actually relax, stop thinking about things, and start to get into that sleep mode. But when you're watching YouTube, like I watch YouTube because I need the not self-improvement content, but I'm researching things on YouTube and I'm gathering information. So it's like I have a reason to be there, but after a certain time, it ends up getting in the way of my sleep, just because I'm now thinking about concepts. I'm thinking about new things that I'm learning. I'm thinking about things that I want to go and talk about the next day on YouTube, right? So it just gets my brain going, even if it's right before bed. So I would replace this with reading, because reading will just help you settle. I mean, I'm still learning and gathering information, so I might have ideas, but reading will just help to quiet and settle the mind faster than if you were to watch somebody else talking on YouTube. So the last two things I'm going to give you is the blue light blockers about an hour and a half before bed. And then the other thing is going to be stop eating 3 hours before bed, and stop drinking liquids 2 hours before bed. So stop drinking any water or anything 2 hours before bed. Food, it's because we don't want to be digesting while we sleep, because that takes energy away from repair and healing. And then water, because we don't want to end up waking up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. So we have to stop drinking before 2 hours. So we have to stop drinking 2 hours before we go to bed. And this will give us the ability to clear our system before we go to bed. And then we won't have to go to the bathroom again during the night, which can wake us up. And if we wake up during the night to go to the bathroom, it's not always a big deal, but it can be one thing that will stop you from getting good sleep. And on top of that, if you need to go to the bathroom while you're sleeping, you can wake up. Even if you don't like get up, you can still disrupt your sleep just by being just by needing to go, right? So you will disrupt your sleep by essentially waking up because you need to go to the bathroom, but you won't like fully wake up. You'll still be sleeping, but it'll just give you less deep sleep and less quality sleep. So that will just diminish how much you're actually sleeping and how much you're actually recovering in your sleep, because you need full deep sleep in order to recover. So stop drinking liquids 2 hours before bed, stop eating food 3 hours before bed, and then blue light blockers an hour and a half before bed. The next thing is going to be knowledge. So I think this is the most important, personally. I think learning is going to be the most important thing that you can do in self-improvement. Always improving your knowledge base, improving what you know and what you understand about the world and about yourself. And then the next thing is going to be finance. So we cannot be broke fucks, even if we have a good body and our mind is right, whatever. You still got to understand that money is energy. Money is the representation, the physical representation of value. So when we look at it that way, we understand that we do need to prioritize our finances, right? I know a lot of people who are spiritual almost see themselves as above money. And this is the wrong way to view it, because money is important for everybody, because it is simply just a representation of value. So when I provide value, I receive money in exchange, because that money represents the value that I can provide. And then I can exchange that money for someone else's value. All right, so the next thing is going to be mindfulness and presence. So why would we want to improve mindfulness? Why would we want to be more present? Because when we are in our minds, when we are thinking about the future or thinking about the past, we're thinking about things that don't exist. We're thinking about memories of the past, and we're thinking about a projected future based off of those memories, neither of which exist. The only thing that actually exists, the only thing that is actually real and tangible, is the present moment, is what's happening to you right now. So you need to be able to learn essentially how to quiet the mind and how to become more present, how to be in your reality, in your present reality, in your present experience, instead of constantly trying to project your reality by thinking about it and by projecting the future. As well as presence is the key to any form of improvement. Presence and mindfulness is going to be your key to any form of self-improvement. Anything that you would like to improve, whether it's a business, whether it's your body, whether it's just life in general, what you need to improve will always come to you right in the present moment. So when you set out the intention that you want to improve yourself, that you want to grow, that you would like to change your lifestyle, we need to be present in the moment after we have released this desire and simply observe, simply be, right? Simply see what's around us, see what's going on around us, and stay present, stay like this, because eventually the present moment will throw something at you that is your opportunity to actually act upon that desire. Even if it is a small thing, you might set the intention that you want to go get really rich in your business, right? But you avoid your present moment because your room's messy. That's the point. That's the thing that you have to actually improve first. That's the thing that you have to work on right now in order to make progress towards that, because you're not in a position where you're ready to start a business. You can't even keep your room clean. So your present moment is presenting you, hey, you're not quite ready for this, but here is something that you can do right now that will start you on that journey, that will get you going in the right direction. So the present moment is going to be where you actually find the opportunities to get the things that you're asking for and desiring. A lot of people miss out because they're not present. They're not willing to listen long enough to actually experience the receiving of their gift, right? They ask for something and then they go off into thought, thinking about it, and ignore the present moment, literally giving them the opportunity to go and have it. And then, so the last thing I have here is just anything else that prevents you from full expression of self. So you basically, if there is anything that is in your life, that is in your mind, that is in, if it's emotional, if it's physical, if it's a person, if it's an environment, whatever, anything in your life that is preventing you from your highest expression of self, that is what you're going to need to work on. That is something you're going to need to self-improve. So that's all I have for my list. I'm just going to move on. So the next thing, I made this separate, but I was going to put this into the list. I made this its own section. Masculinity and femininity, specifically when it comes to self-improvement. So what is masculinity? I have found countless explanations. I've come up with countless explanations, and I think my favorite way to describe masculinity and femininity is to look at it like this. So masculinity is the structure. Masculinity is the plan, right? Masculinity is the idea. Femininity is the energy being put into motion. So femininity is the energy that is put into motion along this plan or this structure. And then the masculinity is going to be the structure for this. So when we're talking about people, right, we're talking masculinity, femininity. So men, right? Men, we operate best when we are living in structure, when we are living in almost a military style routine, military style discipline, where we are just constantly working, constantly improving, constantly looking for things that we can do to either better ourselves or help somebody else, right? So we're constantly looking to work and create and build, and we're constantly wanting and needing to be within a structured life. And femininity is simply going to be the energy, right? Femininity is going to be the love, the energy, the fuel that backs that supports that, right? So how exactly does it tie into self-improvement? We have to understand that as men, we operate best when we're grinding, when we're actually like working our hardest, right? Women are going to work best when they are operating in and vibrating with the love frequency and being present and being aware and allowing their intuition to guide them through life. Men, it's the opposite. Men need to have a structured, this is what I'm doing at this time every single day. Women need to just be able to go with the flow. And then how does it tie into self-improvement exactly? When we're living in our structure, right? When we're living in this disciplined style routine, what we need is the feminine energy in order to make that into something. So if we didn't have, and this is our physical body, this is represented as our sexual energy. So our mind is going to be the masculine component, our sexual energy, the feminine component. So our mind creates the structure, our mind creates the plan, and then our sexual energy is essentially the fuel that puts us into motion towards that goal, and that will push us and drive us to actually achieving that goal. And then how can we cultivate more of our respective energy? Basically just doing what I just said. So if it's women, just be more, just be in the moment more, just flow more, right? Let your days flow naturally and follow your intuition. Men, create a structure, create a disciplined routine, and follow that routine every single day. Doing this will cultivate more masculinity within you, and for women, more femininity within you. And this will just make you a lot happier. It will make you feel more energetic. You will have more energy overall because you have more of your specific type of energy, right? So if I have more masculine energy, I will be more energetic than if I were to have the same amount of feminine energy, right? I could have just as much feminine energy as I do masculine right now and basically just have those flip-flopped, but I wouldn't have more energy because I'm not feminine, right? Or I'm not supposed to be feminine, at least, right? As a man, if I were to be more feminine, I will have lower amounts of energy. As a man, I need more masculinity in order to cultivate more energy. So, as an example of this, you know that you are actually, you know this is working and that you are cultivating your energy well as a man specifically when you are working, and the longer you work and the more work that you do and accomplish, the more energy you start to have, right? So me, I get more energy every time I accomplish something, every time I achieve something. And before it was always the opposite. Anytime I would do something that took effort, it would drain a lot of my energy. Now it's the complete opposite. Now I get energy the more I work. So why do we do self-improvement? What is the point? So essentially what we're here on earth to experience is called samsara, the cycle of life and death. We're essentially living and then reliving all of the same lessons over and over and over again, suffering all of the same pain over and over and over again until we actually learn and actually grow and actually evolve, right? So what most people are doing is they are accepting the way their life is and that they'll just have to put up with it until death. Problem with this is as soon as they die, they're just going to be reborn again, and they're going to have to do it all over again and experience all of the same problems again and all of the same suffering. So why do we do self-improvement? Because it's the only way out. It's the only way to actually escape this cycle of suffering, is to actually improve, is to evolve, right? Why are we suffering? Because nature is telling us that our species is going against it, right? Our species is going against nature. And so therefore, at a point, nature will retaliate. And either we choose to evolve and grow before that happens, and we will be protected, right? Nature will not retaliate against those who are in alignment with it, only those who are in disalignment with it. So when we self-improve, we're essentially allowing ourselves to evolve and to grow, and this will allow us to exit this cycle of suffering, of pain, right? Because we are now in alignment and harmony with nature. And then the last thing is, it feels fucking amazing, right? Like life is just so beautiful when you actually get onto self-improvement and you embrace this lifestyle fully and you be more masculine, cultivate more masculine energy or feminine energy. When you are living in a strict routine and you are following your routine and you are working and building something that you actually love, right? It's just such a beautiful experience. It feels amazing. You start to feel so good. You start to have so much energy, so much positivity. Like I just can't stop thinking positive thoughts about myself now. And it's just such a beautiful experience to have. So that was my video. That was all I have. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it was a good one. And yeah, peace.